Hello there, my name is Garvan. I'm a Superintending Veterinary Inspector in the Department of Agriculture, Food and the Marine, and I work in the antimicrobial resistance section. I'm here today to tell you about the regulatory changes, the changes in the legislation that relate specifically to dry cow therapy. It is very important that you're aware of these new changes because this legislation has come into play since January this year, and it is specifically to protect human health. This legislation is there to protect human health against antimicrobial resistance. What is antimicrobial resistance? It's antibiotic resistance. It means the antibiotics that we depend on, that our animals depend on to treat disease, are no longer as effective as they used to be because they have been overused. So, what this legislation is saying is that we need to reduce our use of antibiotics in animals, and in particular around mastitis control, particularly at drying off. So you will all be familiar with this term blanket dry cow therapy. What blanket dry cow therapy means is you treat all the cows. But the new legislation is saying you cannot approach cows in the same way. You can only treat them when they absolutely need an antibiotic tube at drying off. So it's about a selective approach, which means you look at each cow individually. You are no longer looking at the whole herd. You have to look at each cow and decide, does she need a tube? Is she at risk of mastitis now or during the dry period? And if so, she may need a mastitis tube. However, it's all about looking to see which cows will be okay with just a teat sealer. So what the legislation is saying is that vets can only prescribe where there is a need for an antibiotic treatment. Vets now have to justify their prescribing. So we're moving away from this routine use. We are looking at individual cows to see, do they need antibiotics? And the cows that are safe, that don't need antibiotics going into the dry period, will just get a teat sealer. So the message is only using as little as possible of dry cow tubes as we go forward to protect antibiotics in human health so that they will work in us going into the future. So looking at dry cow therapy this year, you have to change your approach. So what you need now is you need individual cow information. Many farmers are already getting this through their milk recording or through the robotic milking, but now everyone needs to have this individual cow information. So if you've done milk recording, you will have hopefully 4 to 6 readings over the year, and that information will let you identify which cows need treatment and which don't. You will also need to have records of all mastitis cases during the year and any previous issues that you've had in your herd. And the key thing really about choosing which cows only need a teat sealer is having the data on their SCC, be it through milk recording, or in some cases if you don't have the milk recording, you will have to do the CMT or the paddle test when you are drying off, or else you can take a milk sample, a composite sample, and send that off for antibiotic culture and susceptibility to see if you have mastitis present. So the message is, you look at each cow individually, you get the information, and finally, if you don't have the information this year, if you're not milk recording, you may still have to tube all your cows. And you will be prescribed dry cow tubes this year to protect animal health and welfare. But next year, you cannot be in the same position. You have to move to a place where next year you're controlling mastitis better, and that next year you will be able to not use tubes in all your cows. So this new legislation is a challenge, and you need to talk to your vet, you need to talk to your Teagasc advisor, you need to talk to your co-op about how you can best meet the requirements. It is about working together, but the most important thing to think of is by reducing your use of antibiotics, you are protecting human health. You're protecting your own health, your family's health, and everyone's health into the future. Thank you for listening.